It's London Film and Comic Con 2018, Day 2, Saturday. Hi everybody and welcome to Martin Meets for London Film and Comic Con Day 2, Saturday the 28th of July 2018. It's about 9:15 in the evening. I've been home about 20 minutes. Try and get this quickly done. Ready to go back tomorrow and try and get some sleep before then. Right, where do we begin? Apologies, tired brain, etc. If you've seen yesterday's video, you know it's going. Yes, up this morning, left the house about just after 5:20 to pick up my friend from work, Nicole, at 5:30. We headed up to London, made good time, got there about 7:15, parked up, no problems, headed round to the venue, straight in, and it was about twice as many people in front of me as there were yesterday, which I was fully expecting because A, it's Saturday and it's the busiest day, and B, it was opening at 9 instead of 10, so obviously people were there that bit earlier, but wasn't concerned. We actually got let in at 7 minutes to 9. They opened the gates. I suspect it was for health and safety reasons, because I believe they were queuing out into the road, which if you could see how big the hall we were queuing in is, will tell you that's a hell of a lot of people. If I remember, I'll take a photo in the morning of the hall to give you some clue, and if I'm really good memory, I'll stick it in this video. If not, it'll be in tomorrow's video. But yes, so yeah, we got in, usual trick, straight up for virtual queue tickets. I had quite a few to collect. There was the guest I couldn't get yesterday, Meatloaf, and then various others. I headed straight to the main signing area, picked up as many tickets as I could. Obviously, being a bit further back in the queue, the numbers were a bit higher than yesterday, so most of them were between 150 and 250. I had one that was just under 100, and one that was nearer 300, but the rest of them were in that ballpark. Found who I wanted, had clocked some people sat elsewhere on my way up, so I went round and got them. Clocked where somebody else was sat who I saw wasn't on VQs, so that was fine. And thought, right, that's fine, just have a quick wander round, I thought. So I started walking around, and suddenly I came across two photo booths, two signing booths, the ones they block off for the big guests, and there was a guest I'd totally forgotten that I needed a VQ ticket for who was sat in one of those, so I quickly grabbed one for him, and then double checked my list to be on the safe side, and realised I'd missed somebody else who was sat in the first section I went to, so I went back and got his one. His was the one that was nearer 300 for that reason, but then I knew I was fine. I didn't have a photo shoot until 11:45, so I had plenty of time, but because my tickets were high, and a lot of those were for diamond guests as well, so the diamond guests sign all the diamond people who have diamond passes first, then they move on to virtual queue tickets if they've got time, so I knew it would be a while on most of the people I'd collected. As an aside, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, I think I only got 3 diamond passes this year, 1 for each day. Main reason for that, much as I think A, they're very handy if it's somebody you really want, B, they're a good way of spreading the cost for the event, because it means you can pay for photo and autograph months in advance and you don't have to worry on the weekend of having the money for that person. There is a fly buzzing about. I don't know if it's going to show on camera, but apologies if it is. But this year on a lot of guests, the diamond premium, so the cost of a diamond pass is normally the cost of the autograph plus the cost of a photo. If they're doing a talk, the cost of a talk, a little bit to cover the cost of your print or your mug or whatever it is you get, and then there's normally a premium on top of that, which is you're paying for your guarantee. In previous years, that has nearly always been 10, maybe 15, maybe £20, which to me is worth paying that extra for the convenience and the guarantee. But this year, a lot of them were a hell of a lot more. Peter Capaldi, for instance, the premium was £65. So with the cost of his autograph and his photo shoot plus that, I think it was something like £270 for a pass for just over £200 worth of services. And I just think that's too much, so I didn't buy them. Particularly in Peter Capaldi's case, I have met Peter. I met him before he was the Doctor. I went to see him in The Lady Killers in London and got him at the stage door afterwards. So I'm not desperate for his autograph because I've got it, although it would be nice to get him on a Who. But more of that later. So yeah, that's why I only got a few diamond passes this year. I might have to next year bite the bullet, because it's just becoming increasingly difficult to get the diamond pass guests without one. But we shall see. Back to that in a minute. So having wandered round a bit, and as I say, I had plenty of time, so I thought, well, if I concentrate on getting the people I know I can get straight away. So first person I wanted to get was Ivana Milicevic. Ivana, I think, excuse pronunciation if it's wrong. Ivana first came to my attention when she played Riley's wife in Buffy. She was also in Love Actually when Chris Marshall goes over to America. She was one of the girls who he meets and who's taken back to their place, etc. And then she was in Casino Royale. She played Le Chiffre's girlfriend, Valenka. So I was a fan of her through them anyway. Then she was the co-lead in the TV series Banshee, which I watched last year. I think I got them all on Blu-ray and sat and watched them. And it is a magnificent series, and she is amazing in it. Really, 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 really good. So I was really keen to meet her. As I said, she wasn't on virtual queue at the time. She wasn't at her desk, so I thought, oh, well, I'll just queue up. As I say, I had till 11:45, so 2 3/4 hours to kill, basically. Well, about 2.5 by that time. So joined her queue, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. Eventually, she turned up at 10 o'clock. But she was lovely. Dithering over which photo to choose, but I went for Casino Royale one in the end, and this is it. She wasn't posing for photos, but I've got a photo shoot with her tomorrow, so looking forward to seeing her again. But yeah, she was really nice, and when I said basically what I've just said to you about Banshee and how brilliant she was in it, and she was really grateful, and she said it was her favourite thing she's ever done, and I said, yeah, it's a special series. It's that sort of conversation. But yeah, really pleased, and managed to get her nice and quickly, apart from the wait. So that was the first person I saw. And then I utilised my Diamond Pass for the day, and I've just realised I need to show you the Diamond Pass bits, because I said I would. So it was Miranda Richardson. Big fan of Miranda's. I think she's a brilliant actress, both comic and drama. She's probably best known still for her roles in Blackadder, particularly Queen Elizabeth I in Blackadder 2, Queenie. She was also in... Did she appear in... I can't remember if she appeared in The Third. Yeah, wasn't she... It's late, brain's gone dead. Wasn't she the highwayman in Blackadder Referred? Might be wrong. No, that was Blackadder 2. Can't remember if she was in Referred. Blackadder Goes Forth, she was the nurse, so I can't remember if that was actually Florence Nightingale or was just a similar nurse. It's a long time since I watched them. And she appeared in the Millennium one. And in Blackadder's Christmas Carol, she appeared both as Queenie, and then in the future bit of that, she was in that section as well. So yes, anyway, she's also in Harry Potter. She played Rita Skeeter, something like that, who edited the Daily... No, I don't think it was a Daily Prophet, but it was the tabloidy wizarding newspaper. The Potterheads amongst you will know what I'm talking about, and probably anybody who's seen the films will know what I'm talking about. But on top of that, she's done brilliant work in dramas. She was in Dance with a Stranger, which was a film about Ruth Ellis, the last woman in prison to be hanged, which is a favourite film of mine, and I did briefly speak to her about it. She was in The Crying Game. Lots of things she's done anyway. I'm sure you all know who she is. That's a picture of her on that side of the Diamond Pass. That's her in Harry Potter, and that of course is her as Queenie. And then the print, which I picked up yesterday, is, if memory serves, from Harry Potter. Yeah. So that's Harry Potter. I'd heard in advance, surprised that she'd been announced, because apparently she could be a bit unpleasant to collectors, let's put it that way. But I also saw people defending her, saying she'd been lovely with them. So I didn't really know what to expect. As you'll see a bit later in my photo shoot, she's got pink hair at the moment. I don't know if that was for a role or personal choice, but I complimented her on that. As I said, I briefly complimented her on Dance with a Stranger, and she thanked me very much. Signed a photo of Queenie that I chose. This is it. And that was basically it. She was fine. She reminded me very much of Zoe Wanamaker last year. It was pleasant, fine, wasn't nasty at all. Don't think she quite knew what she'd let herself in for. Probably won't be back. But as I say, she was fine. Nothing wrong with her. She just wasn't a bubbly, chatty person. Yes, so that was that. Had a scoot round, still nowhere near my numbers on any of the other people. So next up was my first photo shoot, which was Miranda's shoot. Again, utilising my Diamond Pass, so I was in nice and quickly for that. Again, similar to Zoe Wanamaker, she wasn't a touch. She didn't put her arm around you. A couple of people put their arms around her, and she didn't flinch or anything, but she didn't reciprocate. And as you can see, she's not got a big beaming smile in the photo or anything like that, but she was fine. As I walked up to her, it looks like she clocked my t-shirt, which is this Prince t-shirt, and she said, "Oh, at last." I presume she's a fan and she was referring to that, but that's as far as it went, so I don't really know for certain what she was referring to. That's just what I believe she was. But this is the photo shoot picture. Then after Miranda, it was now about 12 o'clock, and it was the start of everybody going to lunch. Between about 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock, everybody goes to lunch, and there's bugger all to do. Or if they've had shoots or talks or whatever around that time, I go a bit later. So basically between 12 and 3, at any one time, there's only about 20% of the people signing, if that, which just annoys me. I know they got to have their lunch, that's fine, but why do they all have to go at the same time? But somebody who wasn't at lunch, thankfully, was walking around, and I happened to go past the booth, which is the one I nearly missed, where David Duchovny was. And as I was walking past, the guy running the queue was just shouting for anybody who needed David Duchovny to join the queue. Now, he was a Diamond Pass guest, obviously, and I had ticket 136 for him, so I really, technically, was nowhere near being called. But apparently they had him for 30 minutes in between photo shoot and his lunch or something like that. And their instructions were just to fill the queue and get as many people through him at half an hour as possible. So I lucked out and got in. David Duchovny, obviously, is Fox Mulder in the X-Files. Having met Gillian Anderson a couple of times, that's my duo, X-Files duo complete, which is nice. He also co-created, I believe, and even wrote and directed some I'm sure he directed, not sure about writing. Californication, which was a comedy drama type thing, mainly comedy though, which was absolutely brilliant. He says, having only seen the first 3 or 4 series, hadn't seen the last couple, but up until then it certainly was brilliant, and I must get round to buying the last couple of series. He's in Twin Peaks, very memorable role in that, which I won't spoil for you, but if you've seen Twin Peaks you know what I mean, amongst many other things. It was very much a production line, as it often is with the big guests, but he was personalising, which was nice. And when it was my turn to go in front of him, my photo was passed along with my name on a post-it note attached to it, and I just went, "Hi." No, I didn't. I lied. I said, "Hello." Well, I said, "Hello." And he just said, "Hi, Martin," having read my name, which was nice of him. Signed it. I said, "Thank you very much." He said, "No, thank you." And off I went. So, obviously, I'm not saying we're best friends now, but I've had far worse experiences with major guests where they've barely looked at you, and to go to the effort of, you know, reading my name out, it's just that little bit extra something. I have a shoot with him tomorrow, so you'll see that then, but this is the autograph I chose. Then it was more walking round and round and round, waiting for numbers to come up. Eventually, yeah, that was next. So it was quite a while later. God, I ate lots of cereal. Well, not lots of cereal bars, but stopped and ate a cereal bar every 20 minutes or so, and drank water and ate apples and all sorts, killing time. But eventually, I had similar luck in that I stumbled across Tony Robinson's queue at just the right time, and even though again I had a high VQ number, they let me in. Tony, best known really for 2 things: Baldrick in Blackadder, all the series, and as presenter of Time Team, which, if anybody doesn't know, is a long-running, it's finished now, but a long-running Channel 4 series where they go on archaeological digs and uncover important discoveries in some cases, but was a Sunday evening, or early evening staple for many years. I think they did something like 200 digs in total. But it was primarily, obviously, Blackadder I wanted to meet him for. He was a strange one. He wasn't horrible or anything, but he was just... I said hi to him and he sort of looked up and smiled, and he signed it. He was sort of leaning back and it was strange, without seeing it, it's strange to describe, but it was like, you know, he was almost... He seemed to be concentrating on getting your name right from copying it from his sticker, but then he was just sort of almost in autopilot and the rest. It's strange to describe, but there was something, he just wasn't 100% there. I think he probably hadn't known what he was letting himself in for and wasn't entirely sure it was what he wanted to be doing. And when I thanked him again, he just sort of looked up and smiled. So yeah, it wasn't the best experience, but I've had far worse, as you'll find out later in this video. But yeah, so they only had 2 solo Baldrick shots. They had lots of cast ones, but as I've mentioned in old videos, if it's a cast shot, I like to get it complete, which with a Blackadder one isn't going to happen because Rowan Atkinson's never going to do a signing. And it's unlikely Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie will, but you never know. But Rowan Atkinson definitely isn't. So they only had 2 solo Baldrick shots, one of which was from the Millennium Dome one, Blackadder Goes Back and Forth, or whatever it was called, which is, let's say, it's the weakest entry in the canon. The other one was from Blackadder Goes Forth, so that's the one I picked, and this is it. After Tony, I wandered around a lot more and managed to get him to Iwan Rheon's, or Iwan. I believe the correct pronunciation is Iwan Rheon. It's I-W-A-N, his Christian name, I mean it's R-H-E-O-N. To me, Iwan is Ivan. He's Welsh. But I believe his pronunciation is Iwan or something like that. So apologies if I'm wrong. But he's best known as Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. He was Ash in the brilliant sitcom Vicious with Ian McKellen and Derek Jacobi. He was in Misfits. I want to say he was in Star Trek Discovery, but it might have been one of a different big... No, it wasn't Star Trek. It was Inhumans or something like that, I think. One of the recent genre Netflixy or Amazon Prime or HBO or something like that TV series. Yeah, but to me, he's Ramsay Bolton, possibly the most evil character in Game of Thrones. Makes Joffrey look like a saint. Yes, brilliant actor, which I complimented him on. So many people didn't realise that Ash in Vicious was the same guy as Ramsay Bolton. They're so polar opposites as characters. He was really nice, not overly chatty, but took the compliment well, and you know, and spoke and had a little conversation. Noticed he signed the ladies in front of me. He signed it in Welsh. I don't think she was Welsh, but I'm sure there was a reason. Obviously picked a Ramsay Bolton picture. This is it. And then I managed eventually to get into another queue. My number had been called earlier. I was about to join the queue and they closed it because she was off for lunch and photo shoot, I believe, or lunch and a talk or something like that. And that's Pearl Mackie. Pearl played Bill, the Doctor's companion, in Peter Capaldi's last season of Doctor Who. That's basically all she's done on telly. She's done a lot of stage work before that. I loved the character of Bill. I thought she was a brilliant companion. Pearl played her brilliantly. She was a lesbian in it, but they brilliantly didn't make a major thing of that. Or like she, you know, fell in love with a woman, etc. But it wasn't like Bill is a lesbian. You know, this is the plot. It was just part of the story, and it didn't matter. It was just, you know, it could quite easily have been a bloke that she'd fallen in love with, and the story would have been exactly the same. If that makes sense. As I say, she was absolutely brilliant. She was really nice, very chatty. Straight away, it was hand out to shake your hand. She saw my t-shirts. Now, in the short clip that they introduced Bill as Bill, people will know what that means. She was wearing a t-shirt based on the cover. In fact, I think it's the inner sleeve or the back cover of When Doves Cry. So I wondered if she'd pick up on the t-shirt, and sure enough she did. And I then said, yes, that's why I've chosen this photo. And the photo she signed for me is her in Rat Top, as you can see here. But yes, I told her how brilliant I thought she was, and etc. And she was very graceful and gracious. I'll keep doing that. Took it well, really warm, friendly, asked me how the day had been, shook my hand again. Yeah, very nice lady. Got a shoot with her tomorrow. Speaking of shoots, it was now time, it's 3 o'clock now. It was just after 3 because I knew, I was going to call her Bill then, I knew Pearl was going to take a while, but I knew I had an hour to get into the next shoot. And that was with Iwan Rheon. I was batch 7, he'd already had a morning shoot, so it wasn't long before I was in the queue. But while we were waiting, a message came on the tannoy, and they said, we've got a very important announcement for you. The whole place went quiet, expecting it to have to be evacuated or something. Tomorrow, we've got a major, or massive guest, or words to that effect. And everybody was all, straight away, I thought, I think I know who this is. And I was correct. And they've got David Tennant there tomorrow, which means they have got, chronologically, Peter Davison, Colin might be there. Colin Baker might be there tomorrow. Can't remember. Paul McGann. Christopher Eccleston. David Tennant. Matt Smith. Peter Capaldi. David Bradley. Yeah, that's 8, isn't it? It's a world record of having 8 doctors at one event in the same day. They've already had Tom Baker. He was there yesterday, so that's 9 we've had every event. Initially, they had Sylvester McCoy as well, but he had to cancel, unfortunately, so they would have had 10. I'm also very grateful that I've met David Tennant, I've met Matt Smith, I've half met Peter Capaldi, as we'll get on to. I've met David Bradley, I've met Peter Davidson, because the price is going up and up. So the only ones I need to get tomorrow, Eccleston and hopefully Capaldi. More on that tomorrow. Anyway, so this announcement came out. There was a massive cheer, filled the whole venue. Then it was in for the shoot with Ewan. I keep wanting to call him Ewan. Who again was lovely again. Said, "Hi mate." And, you know, arms round, nice friendly. This is your shoot. And then it was straight round to my next shoot, which was with, double checking, yeah, which was with Tony Robinson. He was a bit more alive in this. However, he seemed to be a bit more alive with the women than with the men. Not in a creepy way, he was just flirting a bit with the women, basically. But he was fine, and, you know, he said hi and thank you. And this is the photo. Then I've had the next photo shoot in the same shoot area, but I had a little bit of time, so I thought I'd scoot round and see if I could cross anybody else off my list. And I managed to get, I was the penultimate person to see Peter Weller. Peter, probably best known as the original RoboCop in the first 2 films. He was also Buckaroo Banzai in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the whatever dimension it's called. 8th dimension? Can't remember, brain's gone, dead, but in Buckaroo Banzai. Done lots of other stuff as well, but that's probably what he's best known for, is RoboCop, really. They had him years and years ago, before I started doing them. I think it was something like Collectormania 3 or 4. And apparently he'd been a miserable sod, and nobody thought he'd ever do conventions again. I'd heard pray that he'd done a couple in America, and then suddenly he was announced for this one. Strange, perhaps he's mellowed. Then a few weeks back he filmed a little shorts, "Hi, I'm going to be at London Film and Comic Con, come and meet me" video that they put on their social feeds. Thought, oh, he's definitely mellowed. He hasn't. Alright, it was getting near the end of the day. I suspect he was very tired. I had seen him being quite pleasant with somebody when I was in Ewan's queue, because they were next to each other. So I thought, oh. But guy in front of me had his camera around his neck, and he was no photos. But he just had his camera around his neck. That's how he was carrying his camera. Stood in front of Peter, no photos. And he said, no. And then Peter just went, "No photos!" at the top of his voice, for reasons best known to himself. So, okay. So he signed this bloke's autograph. And just sort of blanked him, really. Well, okay, he's upset him. So mine was passed over. I went, "Hi." Nothing. So he writes to Martin. And then he's waiting. And he sat there. And I'm thinking, he's forgotten his name. I still don't know what he was thinking. Initially, I thought he then wrote best wishes, but having looked at it, now I've got home, it was his name he'd forgotten. Yes, I don't know what was going on there. He signed his name and he wrote Robo underneath it, because it was a RoboCop picture, as you will see. And then, rather than sort of hand it over or push it back to me or anything, or even look up at me or anything, he just turned to the next person and he just left it sat on the table. So I went, "Oh, thank you," and walked off. Yeah. then he had a photo shoot not long after. I've got him tomorrow, which I'm not really looking forward to. But apparently he was miserable as sin in that and wasn't smiling and just stood there and people were racing through. Yeah, but I've got Robocop's autograph. And since Robocop is one of the best films ever made, I'm happy with that. And I still admire him as an actor, even if he's an arsehole in real life. Yeah, so then I went back to the same photo shoot area E for the guest who I tried to get yesterday but never did. Tried again today. Just before his photo shoot, he'd gone off the diamonds and they were doing numbers 1 to 100 in virtual queue tickets. I had number 125. So I was hoping maybe I'd still be able to get him. Spoiler, I didn't. But yes, it's Meat Loaf. Obviously, major international singing superstar Meat Loaf, Bat Out of Hell, etc. Dead Ringer for Love. In my heart, he will always be Eddie in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and indeed Rocky Horror Show in the US. He played him in the original US production. He's also acted in lots of things, most notably Fight Club. Wasn't really sure what to expect initially when he was announced. I could see yesterday that he was chatting away to people in his queue, which was one of the reasons why he didn't get through all the diamonds yesterday. So I thought, oh, that's promising that he's going to be okay. So queuing up for his photo shoot, and it's taken ages to go through. Rather than once it starts, you're all round and round and round, barely stopping, going through. 2 or 3 people go in, then it would stop for a bit, and then 2 or 3 more go in and it would stop. And I don't know what's going on here. Got in, and it's because he was just being so nice. Everybody who came up, he was asking their name, having a quick little chat. He was singing to some of them. He'd sort of stop so he could pose, they'd have a photo, he'd carry on the conversation a bit afterwards. He was just such a nice guy. He was chatting away to the photographer, having a laugh with her, and then just sort of addressing all of us who were stood around and telling us stuff. He was basically performing, but he was so nice. When I went up to him, I said, hi, he said, hello, and posed. As we're posing, he says, what's your name? So, Martin, trying to smile, which is why you'll see smile's not quite there in the photo. He said, well, it's lovely to meet you, Martin. Just little things like that make all the difference with somebody, especially with somebody as famous as me. So hopefully, after my next shoot, I went back hoping he'd be signing again, and hoping I'd be able to get him, but he wasn't signing again when I went back. So by now it was about 6:10, and the show shut at 7, so I didn't really expect him to be back if he wasn't already back. So I should try again tomorrow. Hopefully he's done most of the diamonds now. So I should be able to hopefully get him tomorrow. Fingers crossed, because I really want an Eddie picture. I have got his autograph. I've got a signed CD of his from a few years ago. But I really want an Eddie picture from my Rocky Horror collection. But yeah, so don't think I've already done it, but this is a photo with Meat Loaf. You can see how nice he was in that. So I had a quick scoot. Tried to get in one queue. It was about, I think it was calling up to 250. I had number 262. I closed the queue, but it's for a person I had a photo shoot with coming up with, so I wasn't surprised. And that was, his photo shoot was lasting till close, so that was it. Peter Capaldi, he was still only doing diamond passes, and I heard his guest assistant say he will only be doing diamond passes today. Again, hopefully he's got through most of them now and might have a chance tomorrow, but A, he's doing quite a few photo shoots now tomorrow, and B, 8 doctors there. It's going to be manic. But I've got a photo shoot with him tomorrow. Hopefully I would really like a Doctor Who autograph from him, but we shall see. I'm sure he'll be back anyway. He seems to be quite happy on the circuit. So yeah, couldn't get Peter. So then I was waiting. Rory McCann from Game of Thrones. His board for ages was showing 1 to 200, and I was number 202. So I thought, well, I've got half an hour. I'll just loiter and see what happens. And I heard his guest assistant say, if it gets past this point, I'm going to raise the number. And then she shouts out, anybody under 250? I said, yes. I said, fine, join the queue. And it turns out that they didn't have a pen for the board, so they hadn't upped it to 250. So I could have joined about 5 minutes earlier, which became especially annoying because I'm in the queue, and with the queues on the big guests, it's however long the queue is, let's say 30 feet, and for 5 feet in the middle of that is a table where you pay for your autographs, and it's got the selection of photos on it. And once you're sort of there, that's your point of no return because you've paid. I was the next person to that table, and his guest assistant comes along, says, I'm really sorry, but I've just been told that I've got to cut the line immediately. He's not doing any more autographs. So I was literally one person away from getting his autograph today. How fucking annoying is that? But he's there tomorrow, so fingers crossed. Again, he was on Diamond, so hopefully he's got through a lot of them, and he might get a bit higher on the tickets. I've got a photo of him tomorrow as well. So that was it. Couldn't get any more autographs, but it was nearly time then for my last photo shoot, which was with Sam Neill, who was a very late announcement. Only about a week ago he was announced. They had him a couple of years ago, and there's been some miscommunication, and he cancelled after about a day because he was actually filming in Australia during the convention. So really thrilled to get him back. Probably best known as Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. Riley Ace of Spies, Hunt for Red October, lots and lots and lots of things. Brilliant actor. We like to claim him over here. He's part English, part Australian or New Zealand. I can't remember which. Sorry. Part American. He's one of those multinationality actors who appears in films from lots of different countries for that reason. Again, wasn't sure what to expect from him, but I could see as I was waiting to go in that he was fine. He was having a little laugh. A guy who might have been his son was sort of stood near, and every now and then he'd sort of glance over at him and smile because of something that had happened. There was one one guy who was having his photo taken. He was just a bit strange. I think he was autistic or something similar. But he just sort of stood there and didn't acknowledge Sam or anything, and so he sort of glanced over at his son and smiled about that, and a couple of other things. One guy, he was wearing a t-shirt and it was a Jurassic Park logo, but instead of saying Jurassic Park, it said Jeff Goldblum, and in the background of the logo it had a picture of Jeff. And Sam clocked this, and so his photo is just of Sam going at his t-shirt, which was quite funny. So I thought, yeah, you're going to be alright. Went up to him, shook his hand, he said hi, posed for a photo. I said, thank you very much. He said, lovely to meet you. Again, little touches, but it does make all the difference. Hopefully, as I say, I was close to getting his autograph today. Queue was chaos when we got there. All the people who'd bought diamond passes for him joined the queue for people who were grabbing virtual queue tickets, and it was just queued back for miles. And so I just thought, sod this, went and got everybody else, came back, and by then I just walked straight up and got his ticket, which, alright, I just missed out on getting him because of that, but it saved just queuing for no reason. So hopefully tomorrow that'll be a bit more organised, and fingers crossed I'll get him. So as I say, now it's about 6:10. Waiting for Nicole just to finish up. She was only about another 5 minutes or so, and we came home. That was it. Good day. I was getting frustrated at lunchtime where everybody was on lunch and queue numbers weren't moving, but in the end I've missed out on Meatloaf, Sam Neill, Peter Capaldi, Rory McCann. They're all there tomorrow. I got the three who I had to get today, which was Ewan, Tony and Miranda, because they were only there today. So what's that, 4 more on top of tomorrow's? I think it's only got 4 or 5 I've got to get tomorrow other than them. So it shouldn't be too bad, but I think I've got 7 photos. we shall see. Diamond for Christopher Eccleston, so that'll make things easier. Yeah, who knows? Some of the guests are quite small guests as well. Fingers crossed. I'm going to get up a little bit earlier, try and get a bit earlier. And if need be, I'll stay till 7 o'clock. I'm off on Monday. Yeah. Didn't see many people. I saw Nigel again, but not to speak to. The only other person I saw was Kevin, aka Kev Kerno, who commented on my last, not yesterday's video, but the last video I uploaded at time of recording. And he briefly said hi. It was, you know, said who he was, and said it was nice to meet you, and it was nice to meet him. So shout out to you, Kev. Hopefully we'll have a proper catch up at some point. But yes, that's it. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, etc. And look out for tomorrow's video. Bye.